0J, Bouvet.
Me? Okay.
Is this one gonna actually go?
Well, the last one made it to the coast before the boat broke, so.
Who's duck? Okay. How many are familiar with Club Log?
A little bit.
See some hands, okay. They establish a list of entities that are most needed for DXCC. Trivia question, what's the number one entity needed for DXCC?
North Korea.
North Korea.
Speak up, son.
North Korea!
Thank you.
And ask who many in the club have North Korea.
What's the least required entity?
Actually,
United States.
hang on, that's a
Yeah,
fair.
everybody's got to
Excuse
do
me,
it.
that's a fair question.
Huh? What?
Ask who in this club has North Korea.
OHL.
I don't have to. Nobody
Yes,
does.
they do.
And 5OHL
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, Jim does.
Jim does.
Jim?
Yep.
I've seen the card.
Huh?
And 5OHL has it.
You have North Korea?
I've got North Korea.
Amazing, okay.
Doesn't Koi Day have it also?
At the end of the meeting, everybody go kiss the hem of his garment. Okay?
There were places.
But
that
what
does.
is the second most wanted entity? Bouvet Island, right. Bouvet Island is down in the South Pacific, and it is the most uninhabited place on Earth. You've heard about the place where you're 1,000 miles from nowhere? That's it. What is the most inhabited remote location on Earth? Geographic trivia question here.
Pitcairn Island?
What?
Pitcairn Island?
Close, but no cigar.
Easter
Tristan da
Island?
Cunha.
Yeah.
It's the most remote inhabited island on Earth. They're actually advertising for people to go there and live. Is that yours?
Yeah.
Okay. But this January, there's going to be a DXpedition out that's sponsored by a group out of Norway that's going to go to Bouvet Island. And just to give you an indicator of how remote it is, this is where the island is located. It's 1,000 miles from Antarctica, 1,600 miles from Cape Town, 10,000 miles from Tokyo, 8,000 miles from
Oh, I have no
Oslo and
hope.
New York City. It's not exactly just around the corner and down the block. It's also 6,200 miles from Sydney. So that gives you an indicator of just how remote this entity is. Now the island itself, it's Norwegian territory, and this is the Norwegian name for it, and I'm not gonna try to pronounce it, I may say something naughty. It was first discovered by a French explorer back in 1739. Pretty much after that, nobody cared about it. It wasn't until about 1927 that the Norwegians first set foot on it, and they laid claim to the island. Why? I don't know. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but they claimed it. The British also claimed Bouvet Island. And the Norwegians and the Brits sat down at the negotiating table. Finally, the Brits gave up and said, okay, Norway, you can have it.
We don't want it.
They first set foot on the island, like we said, in 1927. They discovered about 90% of the island is covered by ice and snow. And there's about 300 storms a year with the winds averaging about 100 miles an hour. In other words, you have a severe winter storm virtually every day on Bouvet Island. It's an old volcanic island, and its highest peak is about 2,000 feet above the surface. It's about half the size of Manhattan. And this included with the Norwegian overseas territory of those islands that you see there, Svalbard, Jan Mayen, and Peter I. Quite honestly, I think the reason Norwegians got administration of it, they missed the meeting that day and they weren't there, so they said, okay, Norway, you've got it. It is also on the islands on the air, and it's pretty well up there of the islands that are needed. No humans live there. As we mentioned, it's an uninhabited location, lots of penguins, lots of fur seals. There have been previous activations of Bouvet. As you can see on this list, back it's 1977, some of them. I don't know why the guys even risked their going out there just for barely 30 QSOs. DXpedition did it back in '89, got just shy of 50,000. Another one did it in 8,000 QSOs. There was an attempt to activate Bouvet last year. They got literally offshore. And the ship they were on, the Braveheart, which has been used for numerous DXpeditions, one of the engines failed. It's a 2-engine ship. The captain, the master of the vessel, said,
Screw it.
considering our location and weather conditions, we're not staying here. And they left. They said, we gotta get back to port, because if we have the other engine fails, we're in deep trouble. So they were literally about 100 or so yards offshore and had to leave. So they decided to remount the expedition. And this is the first landing here in 1927. And here is the DXpedition back in 1977.
Same spot.
And here is their log. Not much to say for it themselves. This is what Bouvet looks like. As mentioned at Club Log, it's number 2, located in the South Atlantic. There'll be 13 operators that will go off on the island to actually operate, and a guy named Peter. He's with the ship. He's gonna be kind of the logistics coordinator, beach master, whatever you wanna call it. In terms of traveling, they're gonna go to Port Stanley down the Falkland Islands, meet up with a ship that's gonna take them to the island itself. It's gonna take about 10 to 15 days, depending on winds, currents, weather, etc., to get from the Falkland Islands to Bouvet. When they finish the DXpedition, it's gonna take them about another 10 days to get up to Cape Town to get back to civilization.